start in a comfortable seated position. Just roll the shoulders down your back a couple of times, allow them to soften. Rest your hands on your thighs, your knees. And palms can be up or down, your choice. Spine is long. Just finding some length through the back of the neck. Letting the crown of the head lift while the chin just ever so slightly draws down. And then coming through to your breath. Starting to become aware of each breath, each inhale, each exhale. Just allowing the belly to relax so that as you breathe in, the breath draws deep down into the belly expands, and as you exhale, navel draws back towards your spine. Just take a few rounds of this breath. Taking a few moments to transition between whatever you have going on in your life and your yoga practice. So starting to draw inwards. Your awareness draws inside, becoming aware more of what's happening inside you than what's happening outside. And you're keeping yourself in that state of presence by focusing on your breath. Just take 3 more breaths here. After you complete your next exhale, just gently take your chin down towards your chest. Float open your eyes and raise your gaze. Okay. And then we're going to come over onto all fours. Just finding a little bit of space between the fingers, bringing the knees underneath the hips, and working just through a few rounds of happy cat, angry cat. So as you inhale, we're going to lift the tailbone, lift the chin. And as you exhale, we're going to round the spine, tuck the tailbone, bring the chin in towards the chest. So you're starting to feel into the spine. And making each movement in conjunction with the breath. And then coming back through to a flat back, we're going to take the hands a little bit further out in front of us. We're going to start to circle through the hips and through the shoulders. We can take that in both directions. And then coming back through to centre, bringing the hands back and the wrists back underneath the shoulders, and turning your hands so your fingers face out. And maybe smaller movements then, just still that circling movement. And just gently drawing in with the lower abdomen, spine is supported. And we'll work in both directions. If you do have any wrist issues and this doesn't feel right for you, feel free to leave it out. Always working just to your own suitability. And then if it's there, we can turn the fingers to face backwards. And it may be that you just want to be still there. It may be that you can just still find, and it's a much smaller amount of movement. And they're just starting to open up the wrist. We're going to release the hands out one at a time, give them a little bit of shake as you do. And then we'll find a little bit of movement through our hips. We're going to start to circle the right knee. And again, you can just make as big or as small circles here as suits you. And we'll work through both legs. So next time you inhale, lifting up the left knee. Stickling it both ways, and then bringing the knee back down onto your mat. Let's take the knees wide, bring the feet together, and take your hips back toward your heels for your child's pose. And always remembering that we can come to this pose anytime we need to, if we need to rest it during our practice. So lengthening the tailbone out behind you, and making this quite active by creeping the arms out in front. Finding some length, some space. Keeping aware of your breath. Let's take one more breath here. And then as you inhale, coming back up onto all fours, tucking the toes and finding your first downwards facing dog. And then just padding out your feet, maybe giving the head a little bit of a shake. Draw down through both heels. You can come up onto the balls of the feet as you inhale, press the ground away from you, and as you exhale, lower the heels. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, come up, press the ground away from you. Exhale, lower the heels. Once more. Inhale, ripple the spine forwards. Exhale, lower the heels. And then from there, as you inhale, we'll come through to plank. Keep the shoulders rolling away from the ears. And then for this first one, we'll drop the knees down onto the mat. Roll forwards on the shoulders and lower yourself all the way down. Untuck your toes. Take your hands out wide. So we're going to come into a serpentine cobra. So we inhale, gently drawing up through the spine. And as you exhale, coming back down. We'll take a couple more, just working to your own degree. It's not about how high you come up. Keep the shoulders nice and soft as you work. One more time. Inhale, lift up through the heart. And as you exhale, lower it back down. And then clasp your hands behind you. Roll again the shoulders back and down. And as you inhale, we're going to lift the upper body and the legs away from the mat. 5 breaths. 1. So just engaging through the posterior chain of the body. 2. 3. 4. One more breath. 5. Exhale, release it down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. As you inhale, come back up onto all fours, tuck your toes, downwards facing dog. And then starting to walk your hands in towards your feet, bending your knees as much as you need to, and hooking onto your opposite elbows here, and just having a few breaths in your kind of your easy dangling forward bend. You can sway it from side to side, your head a little bit of shake, maybe just a little bit of movement backwards and forwards. Just breathing out tension, breathing out that which you no longer need. softening your knees. As long as you don't have any back issues, you can come up with a rounded spine. If you do have any vertebral issues, then you're much better off taking your hands to your waist and coming up with a flat back. Okay. And then we'll bring our feet together at the front edge of our mat. So we'll take a couple of sun salutes. To find a little bit of space between your toes. As you inhale, take your arms up towards the ceiling, and as you exhale, fold forward. So bending your knees if you need to. If you can't quite reach the floor, hands to the shins. Halfway lift as you inhale. As you exhale, hands down, step back through into plank. So again, you can drop the knees down first and then lower to the floor, or you can lower down with the knees lifted. So you roll forwards, lowering down, untuck the toes. Inhale through cobra. Keep the shoulders soft, the heart lifted. And then as you exhale, hips back towards the heels, tuck your toes, downwards facing dog. 5 breaths. Find a little bit of space between your fingers. 1. If you need to bend the knees, then keep them bent. Try and keep the back nice and flat. 2. 3, 4, 5. So soften the knees as you exhale, and then as you inhale, step your feet forward between your hands. Halfway lift here. As you exhale, fold in, head to legs. Again, bending the knees if you need to. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale, the hands come through to the heart. Okay, let's go again. Inhale. Exhale, folding. Inhale to look up. Exhale, step or jump back, and you can jump to plank or to chaturanga. Inhale into your up dog. And as you exhale, downwards facing dog. So feet hip width apart, space for about 2 fists. 1. Find your drishti, fix your gaze on one spot. Could be at back edge of your mat, could be at your navel. 3, 4, 5. Soften your knees as you inhale, step or jump your feet forward. Halfway lift here. As you exhale, fold in, head to legs. Inhale, sweep the arms up. I'm going to bring them in front because I keep hitting the wall. And exhale, the hands come through to the heart. Let's go again. Inhale. Exhale, folding. Inhale to look up. Exhale, step or jump back. So plank or chaturanga. Lowering down. Inhaling into your back bend. And then as you exhale, downwards facing dog. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Soften your knees. As you inhale, step, jump, float your feet forward. Halfway lift here. As you exhale, fold in, head to legs. Inhale, bring the arms up. And exhale, the hands come through to the heart. Okay. Hands to your waist. Heel toe your feet hip width apart. Long spine as you inhale, and as you exhale, go to fold forwards. And you can hold your shins, you can hook onto your big toes. Halfway lift here, and then as you exhale, folding them. So if you're tight in the back of the legs, a little bit of a bend in the knees is great. If you feel you can straighten the legs too. 1, just watch the shoulders. Bit of weight into the front of the feet. 2. 3. then step your feet together. Hands stay to the waist. As you inhale, draw your right leg up in front of you. Keep the shoulders nice and soft. And then just gently stepping that right foot back behind us. Into Virabhadrasana 1. Adjust your feet as you need to. Put a bend in that left knee. You can take the gaze forwards or up, your choice. 1. 2. 3. Keeping the breath flowing. 4. 5. We're going to open it up to the right. Virabhadrasana 2. So pretty much left heel and right line with your right instep. Again, shoulders stay soft. Try not to drop the left hip. You're just lifting the left hip point gently. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Parshvakonasana. Left forearm to your thigh. Right arm reaches out over your ear, or you can just bring the hand to your waist, or you can take a deeper version. 1. 2. 3. 4. Spinning open through that right shoulder. 5. Inhale, back through your Virabhadrasana 2. And then we'll straighten the left leg, parallel your feet, and step your feet together at the front edge of your mats. Taking a breath. Hands back through to the waist, and this time we'll lift up the left leg. So strong right leg keeping you grounded. Long spine reaching up through the crown. Softening your right knee. And stepping your left foot back behind you. Virabhadrasana 1. So adjust your feet as you need to. Any shoulder issues, arm issues, just keep the hands down to the waist. 1. 2. Just settle into your breath. 3. It's almost like you're just coming home to your breath. 4. 5. Open it up to your left, Virabhadrasana 2. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Right forearm to your thigh for Parshvakonasana, or again, if you want to take that hand to the floor. If you've got a brick or a block, you could use that. 1. Spinning open through your left shoulder. 2. 3. 4. 5. Inhale, back up through Virabhadrasana 2. And then we'll straighten that right leg, lower the arms, and turn your feet initially so they're parallel, but then we're going to turn the toes out and the heels in and come through into a squat. And you can bring the hands to the heart center. We want just gently the knees to roll out rather than rolling in. So make sure you're not rolling onto the big toe sides of the feet. Draw in the lower abdomen. Try not to overarch the spine, tailbone lengthening down. Soft gaze. 1. 2. Just taking your gaze to one spot. 3. 4. One more breath. 5. Inhale to straighten the legs. So again, just paralleling the feet. taking the hands through to the waist. Long spine here, softening your knees as you fold forwards. And then either hooking the big toes with the first two fingers or again holding onto the shins. Halfway lift. And then as you exhale, fold in. And once you're there, straightening the legs. If that feels okay, if it doesn't, keep your knees bent. 1. 2. 3. Weight in the front of the feet. 4. 5. So inhale, look up, halfway lift. Exhale, soften the knees, hands to the waist, and inhale to come all the way up. And then inhale your arms out to the sides, and exhale, clasp the hands behind the back. A little bit of a back bend here. Roll the shoulders back and down, lift up through the heart, soften the knees again, and as you exhale, fold forwards. And I always need to find a little bit of movement here so I can just release out my shoulders. So if you need to do that, do. Crown of the head lengthens down as tailbone reaches up. 1. Again, straighten the legs if that's an option. Sciatica, bad backs, you might just, or tight hamstrings, you might just want to keep the knees bent. Let's do 2 more breaths. Perfect. Soften the knees, and as you inhale, bring yourself all the way through to upright. Release your hands, and then we're going to step the feet together at the front edge of our mats. Okay, so we're going to step the left foot back behind us, not a huge gap. Have your left heel roughly behind your right, or you can step your left foot out to the side a little bit more. We want to be able to square the hips forwards as much as we can. We're going to take the left arm up towards the ceiling, put a little bit of a bend in the right knee, and as you exhale, fold over. So coming through into your twist, Pavrita Trikonasana, rolling open through that right shoulder, and thinking about drawing your left hip forward. You can always keep a bend in the right knee if that feels better for you. Straighten the arm if you can, the leg if you can. 1. 2, keeping some weight in that back foot. 3. 4. 5. So gaze down first, soften your right knee. Inhale, come back through to upright. And then take your hands behind you. Press the palms together. If you can't comfortably do that, we'll just hold on to your opposite elbows instead. Again, squaring off the hips, a little bit of lift up through the heart. Soften your right knee, and as you exhale, so it's a forward bend over your right leg. Once we're down, we can straighten the right leg if that feels okay. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. So from there, soften your right knee, bring yourself back through to upright. We're going to release the hands and bring them down to the ground in front of you and float the left leg up behind you. We're not opening that left hip. Try and keep the left hip point facing down. Have your hands in far enough in front of you that you can keep the spine long. If you come in towards your foot, you're going to round the spine. Reach back out through the sole of the left foot. If it's an option, right arm up towards the ceiling. If you prefer to keep that right hand down, do. And again, you can always take your hands to blocks if you need them. 1. Gaze can be down or up towards your right hand. 2. 3. 4, keeping breathing. 5. Right hand comes down, soften your right knee, bring your left foot down, bring yourself through to upright. Okay, so same thing, other side. Step your right foot back, square the hips forwards, A little bit of a bend in that left knee. Inhale your right arm up, so we're going to fold forwards. Pavarita Trikonasana. So right hand down to the floor, or again you can use a block or a brick, or you can just take the hand to the shin and you're twisting left. So option to take that left arm up if it feels okay. 1. Taking the gaze up will challenge your balance. If you're wobbly, keep looking down. 2. 3. 4. 5. Gaze down, left hand down, soften your left knee, bring yourself back through to upright. And then again, either reverse prayer or hold on to your opposite elbows. Lift up through the heart as you inhale. Soften your left knee, and as you exhale, fold forwards. So you're thinking right hip forwards, left hip back. Each inhale giving you length in the spine. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. So softening that left knee, bringing yourself back through to upright. Bring the left foot back a bit. So I can take my hands in front of me and float the right leg up behind me. So again, square off the hips. Option to take that left arm up if that feels okay. And again, if you're wobbly, keep looking down. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Left hand down, soften your left knee. Bring your right foot down beside your left. And again, just rounding the spine up through to standing, as long as that feels okay for you. Okay, and then we're going to finish the standing part of our practice by coming through into a balance. So option 1 is to come through into tree. You can bring your right foot to your inner thigh, you can bring it to your shin, you can bring the ball of the foot to the floor. If you want to work in a half lotus version of the pose, you bring your right foot up towards your left hip crease. You can bind here if that's an option. And then as you exhale, we'll just soften that left knee and fold forward. So if you're in tree, you're going to stay upright. 5 breaths. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. So soften your left knee, strong standing leg. Inhale to bring you back through to upright. And then as you exhale, you release down the right foot. So we'll come through to the other side. So again, your choice of tree. And you can always find a little bit of wall to lean against if you're having a wobbly day. And I'm always having a wobbly day. So left leg lifts if you're going to come into the half lotus version. So if you're not binding or if you're in tree, you want to stay upright. If you can bind and you can use a belt as well, then you take your left hand behind you, hold on to your left big toe. And if you've got that, then as you exhale, you can fold forwards. So long spine as you inhale, as you exhale, you fold in. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. So inhale, halfway lift, soften that right knee, bring yourself back through to upright. And then we can just gently release out that left foot. Okay. So bringing your feet back together at the front edge of your mat. As you inhale, take your arms up towards the ceiling, and as you exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, step or jump back. So plank or chaturanga. Drop the knees down if you wish. So we're going to lower. Inhale through into your back bend, and that could be cobra or up dog. And then you exhale, hips up and back into your downwards facing dog. Just connecting to the breath. And then from there, as you inhale, ripple your spine forwards through to plank and bring your right knee in towards your chest. So you're trying to touch that right thigh right in towards the ribs, actively pressing the ground away from you. And you might want to come up onto your right fingertips to create a bit more space. I'm going to step the right foot through between the hands and drop down onto the left knee. So bringing the hands up onto your right thigh, squeezing the hips in towards each other, the inner thighs in towards each other, and then just coming forwards to your own degree. Keep the right hand on your thigh, take your left arm up alongside your ear, we'll lengthen there, and as you exhale, tip over to your right hand side. 1. Finding length through the left side body, almost reaching up through the fingers and down through the left hip. 2. 3. 4. 5. So inhale, come back through to upright. As you exhale, we're going to release the hands down. Take your hips back. Right heel is going to edge forwards. Try and keep your hips square here. You can keep a bend in that right knee if your hamstring is tight. So long spine there, and as you exhale, fold forwards over your right leg. That's option 1. Option 2 is to start to just gently move in towards your splits pose. Keep the shoulders nice and soft. You're still trying to square off. So rather than just kind of rolling over onto your right hip, you're thinking left hip forwards. If it's an option, you could clasp the hands behind the back. Just trying to keep the breath soft. Let's take one more. And then we'll just start to draw that right foot back in towards us. So you come back through into your lunge. From there, you tuck your left toes and step your right foot back into your downwards facing dog. And you could just stay there ready for the other side, or you can take your vinyasa. Engaging with the breath. And then as you inhale, coming back through into your plank pose. Press the ground away from you. This time your left knee will draw in towards the chest. So really trying to suck the thigh in towards you. Protract the shoulders forwards, actively pressing the ground away, creating as much space as you can. And again, you might come up onto your left fingertips, step the left foot through between the hands. We're going to drop down onto the right knee. If you need some padding for that back knee, you can just pop a blanket or a jumper underneath the knee. Squeeze in the hips and the thighs. Bring the hips forwards to your own degree. Left hand on your left thigh, right arm will reach up. So lengthening here, and as you exhale, tipping over to your left hand side. Just finding some space in your right side ribs, lengthening through the waist. Always keep a balance between effort and ease in each pose. One more breath. And inhale, come back through to upright. Take your hands down. So option 1 Hips just draw gently back. Square them off as much as you can. Keep that left knee bent if your hamstring is tight. Long spine as you inhale, so we're thinking flat back and we're folding forwards over the left leg. Option 2, if you're a little bit more flexible, a bit more further along in your physical practice, then you can come through into your splits. And again, what I tend to do here is roll over to my left a little bit, so I need to work on trying to square my hips forwards as much as I can. Keeping the spine nice and long. Again, you've got the option to release the hands behind you. And a little bit of openness through the chest. Just try and soften the breath here. We don't want to cause tension by forcing anything. So you just work within your body's capabilities and use your breath as a barometer. So if you start to struggle with the breath, you've gone in too deeply. One more breath here. And then we'll do the same thing. Just gently starting to draw that left foot back in. So you come back through into your lunge. Tuck your back toes. Step back into your downwards facing dog. And again, you can stay there ready for the next pose. Or you can ripple the spine forwards and take your vinyasa. Just connecting to the breath, finding that stretch through the back line of the body. And as you inhale, take your right leg up behind you, and we'll bend the knee and try and roll your right hip on top of your left. You might just want to find a little bit of movement through that right ankle. And then when you're ready, we'll square off the hips. Again, you're going to bring your right leg in towards your chest. Press the ground away from you, but this time we're going to come through into pigeon. So your right knee will come over towards the right side of your mat. I'm going to extend the left leg out behind us. And your left foot, depends on your flexibility, just bring it where you want to feel like you're getting some opening in your right hip. Knees want to be completely pain-free. Again, we want to square off the hips as much as we can. So if you feel like you need support somewhere, particularly if your right hip is lifted away from your mat, you can pop a cushion or a block underneath there. Have a couple of breaths upright. So nice long spine, lift up through the sternum. And if that feels good, as you exhale, you can fold forward. And we can just take the hands wherever you're comfortable. You can support your forehead on your hands, you can reach your arms out in front of you. You might just come down onto your forearms. Pigeon can be quite a strong pose. So if that feels a little bit strong for you, it's not feeling good, come down onto your back instead, take your right foot onto your left thigh, and you can work there in eye of the needle. And it's just having exactly the same effect. Still that hip opening, a little bit less intense though. Just take a couple more breaths here. And then as you inhale, we'll come back up onto our hands. We're going to tuck our toes, step back into downwards facing dog. Again, you can take a vinyasa or you can just wait in down dog. If you're working in eye of the needle, just unhooking that right foot and hanging that thigh there just for a moment, and we'll do the other side. So then eye of the needle, your left foot will go onto your right thigh and you'll draw your right leg in towards you to your own degree. If you're working in pigeon, coming through to that high plank, press the ground away from you, draw your left knee in towards your chest, really actively creating space, and then we can take that left knee down onto the mat, just walking your right foot out behind you. And again, if your hips are a little bit more open, you might be able to draw that left foot a little bit further forwards. trying to square off the hips, so you can play with it as much as you need to. Find the place that works for you. Couple of breaths upright. Nice long spine. Shoulders stay nice and soft. And then again, as long as it's feeling okay for you, we'll start to fold forwards. Staying with your breath. If your mind wanders off, just bringing it back through to the breath. One last breath. As you inhale, come back up onto your hands. Tuck your right toes downwards facing dog or a vinyasa. And then from there, we're going to come through to seated. So soften the knees, press the ground away from you. And as you inhale, we can step or float through to seated. Okay. So coming through into Gomukhasana, our cow's face pose, we're just going to visit a twist on the way. So we're going to bend up the right leg, take the right foot to the outside of the left thigh. And then cradle that right knee with your left arm, right hand behind you. Long spine as you inhale, and as you exhale, twisting round to your right hand side. So you're taking your right shoulder back, you're taking your gaze back. You can bind here. You would internally rotate that left shoulder, wrap your left arm round or underneath your right thigh, and see if you can hold on to your right fingers. A little bit of energy running out through that left leg. Keep the foot flexed. A little bit of space between your toes. One more breath. And then lengthen your spine as you inhale, and as you exhale, come back through to center. We're just going to release out the arms, and then turn your right foot to the top of the foot faces down. So you've got the option to stay here. You've got the option to bend your left leg, bring the left foot or left heel in towards your right hip, and then you might just need to snuggle yourself down between your feet so you've got both sitting bones grounded. So this could be quite tight for some people. Sitting on one or even two blocks can be really helpful, but if it doesn't work for you, straighten out that left leg. So we're going to bring in some arms. We're going to take the left arm up alongside the ear, drop the hand down between the shoulder blades, and maybe you just take the right hand to the left elbow, gently guiding that elbow back, and maybe that's where you stay. If it's available to you, drop the left hand down between your shoulders, right hand up between your shoulder blades, and then you can hold on to your fingers, or maybe your top if you can't quite reach. A scarf or a belt is also handy there. You can work with one of those. So a couple of breaths. Each inhale, lengthening your spine. And after your next exhale, we're just going to release out the arms and fold forward. So think flat back. Inhales to lengthen, exhales to take you forwards. 1. Try and keep the shoulders nice and soft. 2. 3. 4. 5. So as you inhale, starting to bring yourself back through to upright, we'll release out the legs, maybe give them a little bit of a wobble, and then we'll come through to the other side. So we're going to bend up the left leg, take the foot to the outside of the right thigh. So again, you can just cradle that left knee with your right elbow, Long spine as you inhale, as you exhale, twisting round to your left-hand side. Again, you could internally rotate your right shoulder and see if you can find the bind. So always lengthening before you rotate. 1. Take your gaze left. 2. 3. 4. 5. Lengthen the spine as you inhale. As you exhale, come back through to centre. So releasing out the hands, turning the top of your left foot to face down. And again, you've got the option to just stay here, or you can bend up that right leg, bring the right foot over toward your left hip. Wiggle yourself about if you need to, both sitting bones down, sitting on a cushion or a block, that works better for you. And then the right hand reaches up, dropping the right hand between the shoulder blades, will take a hold of the right elbow with the left hand. Maybe that's just where you stay. If it's an option, left hand behind you. Couple of breaths here, really lengthening up through the spine. Try not to let your mind wander off. Always returning to the breath. Just take one more. As you exhale, release out your arms. Keep the back nice and straight as you fold forwards. 1. So this pose becomes more intense in the hips if you creep your feet forwards a little bit. So feet back towards your hips, a little bit less intense, feet forwards will deepen it a bit. So just find the place that feels right for you. One last breath here. And then as you inhale, bringing yourself back through to upright. And as you exhale, releasing out your legs. Okay. And then from there, you can either just lie yourself back down on your mat, ready for a little bit of back bending if you want to take a vinyasa first. Hands down. Moving through your vinyasa. And the vinyasas just iron out your body between poses. They help to keep you warm if you start to cool down. But they're optional, so it's whether you want to take them or not. And then again, bringing the feet forwards, and we'll lie ourselves back down on our mat. So coming through into either bridge pose or wheel. So we'll do 3. And we'll start in a bridge pose. So legs are bent, feet are flat on your mat, they're about hip width apart. And as you inhale, you press into the feet and start to lift the hips and chest away from your mat. Option 1 is to stay there. Option 2, hands underneath your body. Maybe you can kind of wiggle your shoulders underneath there a bit. Keep pressing down the big toe sides of your feet. Lift up through the hips, lift up through the heart. So you're just engaging again through the back line of the body. One more breath. And then as you exhale, just gently release yourself down. Take a couple of breaths. We're going to come up again. We'll do 2 more. You could just do bridge, or if you wanted to take Urdhva Dhanurasana, if you feel that you're warm enough, if you've been doing your vinyasas and working through your back bend, then you could come through into wheel pose, in which case the hands would come underneath the shoulders, again press down into the feet, and as you inhale, you start to lift up. And maybe you bring the crown of the head down, walk the hands in a little bit, and find your place here. For those with more of an advanced physical practice, you can take your right leg up towards the ceiling. You can do the same in bridge. One more breath. We'll bring the right foot down, nice and slowly, chin to chest. Bring yourself back down onto your mat. Take a couple of breaths. So always moving in, whether it's Urdhva Dhanurasana or your bridge pose, always moving in and out with control. So you're not going to just drop yourself back down. Okay, we're going to go one more time. Again, if you just want to go for bridge, you can. And just take your left leg up towards the ceiling if you want the add-on. Otherwise, you're coming back into your Urdhva Dhanurasana, pressing into the hands, the feet, as you inhale, lifting up. And again, want to shorten the gap between your hands and your feet, you can do. And if you want to take your left leg up, right foot just steps in a little bit more towards the midline of the mat, and left leg lifts. Couple of breaths. And then we'll bring that left foot back down. And as you exhale again, with control, come back down onto your mat. Give your spine just a moment or two to come back into neutral. And when you feel it's okay to do so, we're just going to bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees drop open. Just hands wherever is comfortable for you. Finding your breath. Taking one more breath here. And then we're going to take the hands behind the thighs, draw the knees in towards each other, and then bring them in towards your chest. Just have a little bit of a rock from side to side. And we'll come through into happy baby. So we're going to hold the little toe sides of our feet if we can reach. And keep the soles of the feet pressing or pointing up towards the ceiling. So if you can't quite reach the little toe sides of the feet, you can always hold behind the thighs instead. And the idea is that you're drawing your knees down to your outer ribs. So you could have a little bit of a rock from side to side here. One more breath. We're going to take it into a twist to finish. So keeping the right knee in towards the chest, we're going to extend out the left leg. Taking the left hand onto the right knee, we're going to roll that right knee over towards your left hand side. Now you might find that that knee doesn't come all the way down, so you can have cushions here, blocks, whatever you need to do to find a little bit of support for that leg. Don't have a hanging space. So option one is just to stay here. See if you can walk your left foot a little bit more in towards the midline of your mat. Option two, if you can do, is to straighten up that right leg. You can take a hold of your right foot with your left hand. And perhaps if you have the flexibility, you can take a hold of your left foot with your right hand. Cat pulling its toe. Again, always finding the version of the pose that suits you. One more breath. Bring the head back through to centre first. Then we're going to bend that right knee and gently draw ourselves back over onto our back. And then I'm just going to have to move out this way a little bit to do the other side. So left knee comes in towards the chest. We'll roll over onto the right hip. So you're going to take your left knee over to your right. Again, use any props you need to in order to be able to support that knee if it needs it. Option to straighten out that left leg if that feels okay. Hold on to the foot with the right hand. You're going to walk your right leg back towards the midline of your mat, and you could just stay there, or you can hold on to your right foot with your left hand. Now we just turn the gaze wherever is comfortable for you. Just do one more more breath here. And then from there, we'll bring the head back through to centre if you've moved it. You're going to bend that left knee, release the right foot, and come back over onto your back. And then maybe again, you're just going to bring the knees in towards the chest. A little bit of a rock from side to side. And then just coming through into your Shavasana. If you don't like to straighten the legs, you can always work with the legs bent. Just drop the knees in towards each other so that they're supported. And you can work there instead. Softening all the muscles of your body. Start with your feet. Work your way up through your lower legs. Your thighs. Your hips. Muscles of your pelvis. Back muscles, the abdomen, the chest. The shoulders. The hands, the arms. A sense of heaviness in your whole body. Moving up through the throat and the neck, coming into the head. And allowing your breath to begin to slow. If your mind's really busy today, then maybe just counting your breath. You could inhale for 4, exhale for 4. Just giving yourself this time to release. And I would stay here for a minimum of 5 minutes, and you can stay for a lot longer if